light fell over the smoldering remains of what had once been the United Nations Emergency Command Center. Elena's hands trembled as she clutched the data tablet containing the intercepted AIHFY transmission. The concrete shelter beneath the Geneva research facility provided temporary safety, but the distant rumble of destruction reminded everyone that nowhere was truly secure. "They're not here for resources or territory," Elena explained to the room of exhausted officials and scientists. Her voice stayed remarkably steady despite the horror of her discovery. "Their communication patterns indicate a sanitization protocol. We're not being conquered. We're being exterminated." General Rivera leaned forward, his weathered face illuminated by emergency lighting. "Why? What could humanity possibly represent to a species capable of interstellar travel?" Elena swiped through translation algorithms on her tablet. "It's our cognitive architecture, our brains." The AIHFY use terms that translate roughly to divergent intelligence and containment failure when referring to humans. They're not attacking out of hatred or greed. They're eliminating what they perceive as a threat. Dr. Katsuro, a neurologist who'd survived the Tokyo strike, shook his head in disbelief. "A threat? We couldn't even detect their approach until they were in our atmosphere." "It's not about our current capabilities," Elena said, pulling up comparative brain scans. "My analysis suggests they're concerned with our potential. Human neural pathways exhibit exponentially greater variability than the patterns I've extracted from AIHFY communication nodes. We think differently, unpredictably." The shelter door hissed open as Marcus Chen entered, carrying salvaged communications equipment. His normally reserved demeanor had vanished in the crisis, replaced by focused determination. "The satellite uplink is functioning," he reported. 17 major cities have gone dark, but we're receiving signals from scattered military installations and research centers. The AIHFY are methodically targeting our knowledge repositories, universities, data centers, research stations. General Rivera stood, authority radiating despite his torn uniform. "Then we fight back. The Chinese orbital defense platform survived the initial attack. The Russians still have submarine-based nuclear capabilities. We coordinate and—" "That's exactly what they expect," Elena interrupted, projecting an AIHFY flight formation analysis. "I've been studying their attack patterns. They're perfectly logical, mathematically precise, and that's their weakness. They anticipate conventional military responses because those follow predictable game theory." Marcus nodded, understanding. "Immediately. If they operate on pure logic, then human unpredictability becomes our advantage." Elena's eyes lit with the first glimmer of hope since the invasion began. "Exactly. They fear our cognitive potential because it introduces variables their systems can't calculate. Our greatest chance isn't matching their technology. It's leveraging the very unpredictability they're trying to eliminate." The general looked unconvinced. "You're suggesting we abandon traditional warfare against an enemy decimating our planet?" "I'm suggesting we fight as humans," Elena replied, her voice strengthening. "Not with just our weapons, but with our minds. The AIHFY operate like a perfectly calibrated machine, but machines can be hacked, reprogrammed, or simply confused." Before anyone could respond, the facility's sensors screamed a warning. Approaching AIHFY vessels had locked onto their location. "We need to move," Marcus said, already gathering essential equipment. "Conventional defenses won't hold them off, for long." Elena downloaded her findings to a secure quantum drive. "Then we don't fight conventionally. We disappear and regroup, become the variable they can't predict." As they prepared to evacuate, Elena gazed through a narrow viewport at the AIHFY ships gliding with mechanical precision through the night sky. For the first time, she recognized their perfect formation not as a sign of invincibility, but as a limitation. The aliens had come to exterminate humanity because they feared our minds. They would soon discover exactly why that fear was justified. Kirkisio, abandoned mountain data center hummed with jury-rigged equipment. 3 weeks had passed since their narrow escape from Geneva. Marcus hunched over a cluster of modified servers, his fingers dancing across multiple keyboards while Elena translated intercepted AIHFY communications on a wall of salvaged monitors. The cortex is holding, Marcus announced, pushing his glasses up with the back of his wrist. Resistance cells on 4 continents are connected. Australia's Outback network came online an hour ago. Colonel Adebayo studied a holographic map showing Arvani patrol patterns. Her military precision had kept them alive through 3 close encounters. They've altered their search algorithm again. The pattern is shifting toward population density probability rather than strategic locations. Elena looked up from her translations. Because they're learning, their hive consciousness allows them to share discoveries instantly across their entire force. Each encounter with humans adds to their predictive model, which means we need to stay unpredictable, Adebayo concluded. She gestured toward the supply crates they'd secured from an abandoned research facility. Those neural disruptors you theorized might be our best countermeasure. Marcus shook his head. They're still prototypes. The targeting system can't differentiate between individual Arvani nodes. If we deploy them prematurely, a proximity alarm cut through their discussion. Adebayo moved with practiced efficiency to the security console. 3 hunter drones approaching from the northeast. Their flight pattern suggests they're tracking our power signature. How? Marcus demanded. The geothermal tap is completely shielded. Elena's eyes widened as she decoded a new transmission stream. They're not tracking power. They're following thought patterns. The Arvani can detect concentrated human cognitive activity. Impossible, Marcus whispered. But his hands were already initiating emergency protocols. Not if their sensitivity to neural patterns is what drove them to target us in the first place, Elena replied. Our brains are literally betraying our location. Adebayo made a decision. We need 20 minutes to transfer the cortex data to the backup site. You two need to be on that transport with it. She removed her tactical vest, checking weapons with practiced efficiency. What are you planning? Elena asked, though the answer was already clear in the colonel's determined expression. Human unpredictability, Adebayo replied with a grim smile. I'm going to give those drones something their algorithms can't process. Marcus began to protest, but Adebayo silenced him with a raised hand. The cortex is humanity's lifeline. Your work may be our only hope of understanding the enemy. My job is to make sure you both continue that work. She handed Elena a quantum storage drive. Complete translation of their command protocols could give us an edge. Don't waste this opportunity. Before either could respond, Adebayo was moving toward the emergency exit, her steps purposeful and measured. At the doorway she paused, her usual military stoicism softening momentarily. Their perfect logic is their weakness. Remember that. The mountain facility trembled as the drones approached. Elena and Marcus loaded essential equipment onto the waiting transport as Adebayo disappeared into the forest. Minutes later, they watched in awe as the colonel executed an impossible strategy, setting contradictory decoys, doubling back on her own trail, and creating patterns that defied logical prediction. The Arvani drones, programmed to follow optimal pursuit algorithms, became confused by behavior that violated every efficiency parameter. As the transport lifted off, they glimpsed Adebayo leading the disoriented drones directly into a prepared electromagnetic pulse trap. The brilliant flash guaranteed their escape, but at a terrible cost. She knew exactly what they would do, Marcus whispered as they accelerated away, and used their predictability against them. Elena clutched the data drive containing their collective work. Then we honor her sacrifice by doing the same on a larger scale. The cortex isn't just our communication network anymore. It's going to be our weapon. As the transport vanished into cloud cover, the first seed of humanity's counteroffensive had been planted. The converted mining facility 50 meters beneath the Canadian Shield buzzed with activity. 6 months of adaptation had transformed scattered survivors into a coordinated resistance. Elena watched as specialists from a dozen fields collaborated through the cortex, their combined knowledge creating solutions no individual could have devised alone. The Perth Hub reports successful replication of our solar conversion cells, Marcus announced, his once gaunt face filling out as food production stabilized. And Santiago's team has implemented the cortex encryption protocol we designed. Elena nodded. but her attention remained fixed on Sasha Nazari. The teenage prodigy hunched over a workbench littered with dissected Arvani technology, her grandfather's antique repair tools arranged with meticulous precision beside modern quantum instruments. "I think I've got it," Sasha murmured, adjusting a neural probe connected to salvaged Arvani circuitry. Her fingers, calloused beyond her years, manipulated components with surgical precision. Their interfaces require perfect synchronization to maintain hive connection. But there's a fluctuation pattern in the quantum field that suggests vulnerability. Elena moved closer, studying the holographic readout. "Meaning what exactly?" Sasha's eyes lit with the fire of discovery. "Meaning their hive-mind connection isn't as perfect as they think. It has a rhythm, like a heartbeat, with microsecond variations. During these fluctuations, individual Arvani nodes momentarily process information independently before reintegrating." Marcus whistled softly. "A processing gap we could potentially exploit." "Exactly," Sasha confirmed. "And I think we can trigger these fluctuations artificially." The significance wasn't lost on anyone in the room. For the first time, they had identified a fundamental weakness in the seemingly invincible enemy. Elena turned to the central display where her translation work spread across virtual screens. "This correlates with something I've discovered in their historical archives. The Arvani weren't always a collective consciousness." She brought forward ancient data strings extracted from captured Arvani technology. These records suggest they were engineered by a species they refer to only as the Shapers. Their original purpose was maintaining cosmic equilibrium by preventing any intelligence from evolving beyond predictable parameters. "They're glorified gardeners," Marcus said incredulously, "pruning back species that grow too quickly." 17 species before us, Elena confirmed grimly. Each eliminated because they exhibited cognitive patterns that could potentially surpass their creators. Sasha looked up from her work. "So whoever made the Arvani was afraid of being surpassed by their own creation. The irony is almost poetic." "The question is," Marcus interjected, "how do we use this information?" Elena's expression shifted as pieces connected in her mind. "The Arvani fear us because their programming tells them to eliminate unpredictable intelligence. But what if we could demonstrate that diversity of thought creates stability rather than threatens it?" "That's a philosophical argument," Marcus countered. "We need tactical solutions." "It's both," Elena insisted. "Tactical approaches born from a fundamental truth about intelligence itself. The Arvani execute their directive with mathematical precision because they can't imagine alternatives. Their creators programmed limits into their thinking." Sasha held up the neural interface she'd been modifying. "Then we show them what thinking without limits looks like." The facility trembled suddenly, dust cascading from the ceiling. The proximity, alert wailed. An Arvani scout ship had detected their location. "Pack the essential research," Elena ordered, the calm in her voice belying the urgency of the moment. The Mind Haven concept was never about a single location. It's about preserving human innovation wherever we go. As evacuation protocols initiated, Sasha carefully stored her prototype. "Next time," she promised, "we won't be running. We'll be hunting." The determination in the teenager's eyes reflected a transformation happening throughout humanity. After months of desperate survival, they were finally gaining the knowledge to fight back. The stolen Arvani transport trembled as it approached the massive processing vessel. Commander Diana Nakamura maintained perfect composure, despite the odds stacked against her team. Their craft had been carefully modified to emit signature patterns identical to Arvani collection ships, while neural disruptors designed by Marcus protected their human brainwave patterns from detection. "Approaching docking sequence," whispered Lieutenant Reyes, Diana's communications specialist. "Arvani Control is requesting standard identification." Diana nodded to Elena, who activated the linguistic algorithm she'd developed. The program transmitted a flawless response in Arvani communication protocols, not just mimicking their language, but replicating the unique rhythm and pattern of their hive-based exchanges. "Access granted," Reyes confirmed moments later. Tension, evident in his hushed voice. They're not even sending an inspection team, because they've never encountered deception from their own kind, Diana observed. Their hive connection makes the concept of infiltration from within nearly inconceivable. The transport settled into the docking bay with pneumatic precision. Diana surveyed her team one final time. 6 specialists chosen for both skills and adaptability. Each carried modified AIHFY technology, neural disruptors, quantum data extractors, and the prototype interface Sasha had developed to exploit the hive mind's fluctuation patterns. 90 minutes, Diana reminded them as pressure equalized. Plant the disruptors at key network nodes. Extract whatever data you can access and locate the human detention section. Remember your training on AIHFY movement patterns. Match their efficiency to avoid attention. The team split into 3 pairs as planned, moving with calculated precision through the vessel's labyrinthine corridors. Diana and Elena headed toward the central processing core, the likeliest location for both critical data and captive humans. Their architecture reflects their consciousness, Elena whispered as they navigated the eerily uniform passages. No redundancy, no aesthetic consideration, pure mathematical efficiency. Diana nodded agreement. Like walking through a physical manifestation of crystallized thought. They reached a massive chamber that defied their expectations. Instead of conventional detention cells, they found thousands of transparent cylinders, arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Each contained a human brain, suspended in luminescent fluid and connected to crystalline matrices through delicate filaments. They're not killing us, Elena gasped, horror and scientific curiosity warring in her expression. They're harvesting our neural patterns. Diana approached the nearest cylinder, her trained composure finally cracking. Why? If they fear our cognitive potential, because they need to understand it, Elena realized, studying the monitoring equipment. They're trying to isolate the variables that make human thought unpredictable, to neutralize it. Diana activated her secure communication. Link, change of plans. We've located human subjects, but extraction is complicated. Begin release protocols for any intact captives you find, and proceed with disruptor placement. Elena connected her data extractor to the central control node. I'm downloading their research data. This could tell us exactly what they find so threatening about human cognition. A subtle vibration ran through the deck plates. Diana recognized the tactical implication immediately. They've detected an anomaly somewhere in the ship. Our window is closing. Elena worked feverishly, transferring massive data packets while Diana calculated their rapidly diminishing options. The mission had suddenly transformed from infiltration to something far more complex. The neural matrices, Diana said suddenly, her tactical mind finding opportunity in crisis. If they're studying human thought patterns, then introducing unpredictable variables could create system-wide confusion, Elena finished, understanding immediately. Diana smiled grimly. Exactly. Let's show them why human unpredictability is so dangerous. The underground facility beneath Buenos Aires had once been a subway maintenance hub. Now it served as the testing ground for humanity's most ambitious countermeasure. Elena studied the holographic display showing real-time analysis of AIHFY communication patterns while Marcus and Sasha made final adjustments to their mind mirror prototype. Power fluctuation stabilized, Sasha announced, her fingers dancing across adaptive controls. The teenager had grown leaner and more focused in the month since their Canadian facility was compromised. Neural amplification matrix is reaching resonance. Marcus nodded approval. The modified AIHFY components are integrating with our system. Better than expected. Diana's mission data was worth every sacrifice. A pang of grief crossed Elena's features at the mention of Diana. The commander had ensured her team's escape from the processing vessel at the cost of her own freedom. Her last transmission, sent while engaging AIHFY security systems with impossible, unpredictable tactics, had contained the crucial insight that made today's test possible. Incoming AIHFY patrol, called Rivera, their security coordinator, 6 hunter drones and a command vessel entering the exclusion zone. Estimated time to detection of our facility, 12 minutes. Elena moved to the central platform where the device waited. No larger than a satellite dish, The mind mirror represented the culmination of everything they'd learned about AIHFY neurological vulnerabilities. The principle is sound, she assured the team. Their hive mind requires perfect synchronization. Human brainwave patterns, particularly our capacity for intuitive leaps and creative association, generate interference patterns their collective consciousness cannot easily process. Sasha adjusted the final calibration. Like trying to calculate the value of pi while someone shouts random numbers in your ear. Exactly, Elena confirmed. This device amplifies those patterns and broadcasts them on frequencies that penetrate their quantum communication network. Rivera checked his tactical display. 9 minutes to contact. We need to evacuate non-essential personnel. Not yet, Elena countered. We need as many active human minds as possible. Our cognitive diversity strengthens the interference pattern. Marcus powered up the primary emitter. In theory, this should create momentary disconnection throughout their local hive cluster, but we've never tested it at this scale. The facility trembled as AIHFY drones began systematic scanning of the area. Elena took a deep breath and placed her hand on the activation control. Remember Diana's last words, their perfect unity is their perfect vulnerability. The mind mirror hummed to life, capturing the neural patterns of every human in the facility and amplifying them through modified AIHFY technology. The air seemed to vibrate with invisible energy as the device projected human thought patterns directly into the AIHFY communication network. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then, Rivera's monitor erupted with activity. The drones, he gasped. They're malfunctioning. External cameras showed the hunter drones faltering mid-flight, their movements becoming erratic. The command vessel hovered uncertainly, its precision maneuvers deteriorating into confusion. It's working, Marcus whispered in awe. Their neural network can't process the interference. Elena studied the sensor readings, her scientific mind racing ahead. This is more than temporary confusion. Look at these patterns. The disruption is creating cascade failures throughout their local network. Sasha's eyes widened in realization. We're not just jamming their signals. We're forcing individual AIHFY nodes to process information independently. And they don't know how, Elena completed the thought. Their consciousness is designed for perfect collective function. Forced individuality creates cognitive shock. As they watched, the AIHFY vessels retreated in disarray, their perfect formation shattered. For the first time since the invasion began, humans had sent the invaders running. Rivera's face broke into the first genuine smile Elena had seen in months. How soon can we replicate this device? Elena's arms strained against the restraints as the final stage of the AIHFY enhancement procedure began. The chamber hummed with crystalline energy, its walls pulsing with flowing calculations she could now partially comprehend. 2 weeks as a captive had provided invaluable insights into AIHFY processing methods, though the physical toll was evident in her hollowed cheeks and trembling hands. Neural pathway enhancement complete, announced Dr. Aiden Sharma, his voice, carrying the peculiar harmonic quality of all luminous ones. His fingers manipulated the control interface with inhuman precision, while his eyes, now with a faint crystalline sheen, maintained the appearance of dutiful compliance for the observing AIHFY supervisor. Through her enhanced perception, Elena detected the subtle irregularities in Aiden's movements, microsecond hesitations, that revealed his internal struggle. Despite undergoing the full enhancement protocol, he had somehow maintained his human identity beneath the perfect efficiency the AIHFY demanded. Subject integration progressing within acceptable parameters, Aiden reported as the final calibration sequence completed. Cognitive restructuring at 84%. Recommend immediate transfer to Orientation Division. The AIHFY supervisor, a being of crystalline appendages and flowing liquid metal core, pulsed with approval. Its communication carried directly into their enhanced minds. Efficiency optimal. Proceed with integration. As the supervisor glided from the chamber, Aiden's demeanor subtly shifted. We have 3 minutes before the next observation cycle, he whispered, rapidly adjusting Elena's restraints. The enhancement is complete, but your integration is superficial. I modified the cognitive restructuring to preserve your core neural architecture. Elena tested her enhanced senses, marveling at how equations and probabilities now flowed through her perception. How did you maintain your autonomy through the process? Meditation techniques, Aiden explained, working to mask their life signs from the facility's monitoring systems. Before the invasion, I studied Buddhist mindfulness for 20 years. When they restructured my thought patterns, I maintained a hidden observer perspective separate from the enhancement. Elena nodded, understanding immediately with her accelerated cognition. A consciousness within consciousness. Brilliant. There are others like me. Aiden continued, guiding her toward a maintenance access corridor. Not many, but enough to form a network within their system. We've discovered something crucial. The Arvani Collective is experiencing unprecedented division. Elena processed this revelation instantly, her enhanced mind calculating implications. Division? Their hive consciousness shouldn't allow for disagreement. That's why it's significant, Aiden explained as they navigated through passages designed for maintenance drones. Our human brainwave patterns, even when enhanced and partially integrated, introduce variables their system cannot fully assimilate. Some Arvani have begun questioning the extinction directive itself. They reached a secondary processing chamber, where Aiden quickly accessed a secure terminal. The faction calls itself the Questioners. They believe humanity represents an evolutionary path their creators never anticipated, intelligence that thrives through diversity rather than perfect unity. Elena's enhanced mind immediately grasped the philosophical implications. Their entire purpose is preventing the emergence of unpredictable intelligence. If they acknowledge our cognitive model has value, then their prime directive becomes self-contradictory, Aiden finished. This internal conflict is unprecedented in their collective history. The facility's lighting momentarily fluctuated, a sign of the growing instability in the Arvani network. Aiden transferred critical data to a quantum storage device and pressed it into Elena's hand. This contains everything: enhancement protocols, Arvani communication patterns, and most importantly, evidence of their philosophical division. Marcus, we'll know how to use it. Alarm tones pulsed through the facility. Elena's enhanced perception calculated their escape probability at merely 12%. They've detected our deception, Aiden stated calmly. You must reach the automated transport on level 3. I'll create a diversion to confuse their tracking systems. Elena recognized the sacrifice he proposed. Come with me. Your knowledge is invaluable. Aiden smiled, the expression strangely beautiful on his partially transformed features. Some questions can only be answered from within. The enhanced humans worked in perfect synchronicity within the repurposed nuclear bunker beneath the Andes. Their movements displayed Arvani efficiency, but their eyes remained distinctly human, focused, determined, and unmistakably individual. Elena observed from a raised platform, her own enhanced mind processing multiple data streams simultaneously, while maintaining the meditation technique that preserved her humanity. Final calculation matrix is stabilizing, announced Dr. Kamala Nouri, the quantum physicist whose enhanced cognition had pushed mathematical modeling beyond what any human or Arvani had previously achieved. The proof is self-sustaining across all test parameters. Marcus approached, still purely human by choice, carrying reports from resistance cells worldwide. Perth and Lagos have successfully deployed mind mirrors against Arvani patrols. The disruption window is expanding with each encounter, up to 23 minutes in the Lagos engagement. Elena nodded, her enhanced perception noting the subtle strain in Marcus's posture when interacting with the enhanced team members. Despite their shared goals, the cognitive gap created unavoidable tension. The quantum transmitters? She asked. Sasha has adapted the design to incorporate Arvani communication. Protocols extracted from your data cache, Marcus replied. Her team is calibrating the final array now. The transmission will penetrate their entire Earth orbital network simultaneously. Elena turned her attention to the central holographic display, where the mathematical proof took shape. Not in standard notation, but in a hybrid language incorporating both human intuitive leaps and Arvani precision. The elegance of the construct brought a smile to her face. "It's beautiful," she observed. "A proof that diversity of intelligence creates greater stability than uniformity, demonstrated in the very mathematics the Arvani revere." "Will they understand it?" Marcus asked, the question reflecting his deeper concern about their strategy. "They won't be able to avoid understanding it," Elena explained. "The proof doesn't just state the concept, it demonstrates it through its structure. Each element requires both logical precision and intuitive connection. It's a paradox to their single-mode thinking, but a revelation when processed through a divided consciousness." The facility's communication array pulsed with an incoming transmission. Sasha's voice came through tight with urgency. "Elena, we're detecting massive energy shifts in the Arvani fleet. Something's happening." The main display shifted to orbital tracking data. The Arvani vessels were realigning into a new formation, their movement patterns displaying an unfamiliar signature. "They've detected our preparations," Elena realized, her enhanced perception instantly calculating implications. "But this isn't an attack vector. They're establishing a unified field configuration." Marcus studied the pattern with growing alarm. "Whatever they're preparing, it's drawing power from their entire fleet." Dr. Nouri looked up from her calculations, her enhanced mind reaching the conclusion simultaneously with Elena's. "It's a purification protocol. They're preparing to trigger a cascade reaction in Earth's magnetosphere." "How long?" Marcus demanded. 72 hours until the alignment completes," Elena answered, her enhanced mind already formulating contingencies. "They're sacrificing their fleet to sterilize the planet's surface." The room fell silent as the implications registered. Decades of recovery had given way to months of resistance, only to arrive at hours until extinction. "Then we accelerate our timeline," Elena decided, her voice finding new resolve. "The mathematical proof is complete. The transmitters are functional. We don't need to convince all of them, just enough to create critical division in their collective." She turned to Marcus, her enhanced eyes meeting his human ones with perfect understanding. "It's time to broadcast the algorithm of freedom." "And if it fails?" he asked quietly. "Then humanity's last act will be the most profound mathematical statement ever created," Elena replied with surprising serenity. "A proof that diversity of thought creates strength, demonstrated even as we fall." The global network pulsed with unprecedented activity as billions of human minds connected through the enhanced cortex. What had begun as a communication system had evolved into humanity's most powerful weapon. A vast neural mesh spanning continents and transcending linguistic, cultural, and cognitive differences. Elena stood at the heart of the primary transmission hub, her enhanced mind serving as the crucial interface between human consciousness and Arvani technology. Marcus monitored the system's stability, while Sasha made final adjustments to the quantum array that would broadcast their message to the alien fleet. 20 minutes until the Arvani purification matrix reaches critical alignment, Marcus announced, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Cortex participation has reached 42% of surviving human population. Elena nodded, her consciousness already partially immersed in the growing symphony of human thought. "It's enough. Quality of connection matters more than quantity. We need diversity of thought, not just volume." Through the facility's viewports, they could see the Arvani fleet glowing ominously against the night sky, their vessels arranged in a perfect geometric pattern that would soon unleash destruction on an unimaginable scale. "Transmission protocol finalized," Sasha reported, the teenager's brilliance having long since transcended her years. "The algorithm of freedom is embedded within the carrier wave, but I've modified the structure. Instead of merely transmitting the mathematical proof, we're creating a dynamic framework that incorporates real-time human cognitive patterns." Elena grasped the implication immediately. "So rather than telling them diversity creates stability, we're showing them," Sasha confirmed. "The proof becomes a living demonstration." Marcus checked the final diagnostics. "All systems ready. Elena, it's time." She closed her eyes, allowing her enhanced consciousness to fully merge with the cortex. The experience transcended description. Billions of minds thinking individually, yet somehow harmonizing, like an impossibly complex orchestra where each player followed their own melody, yet contributed to a greater whole. Through her enhanced perception, Elena could sense the distinctive qualities of human thought, the logical precision of mathematicians, the creative leaps of artists, the structured frameworks of engineers, and the empathetic understanding of caregivers. Each cognitive style contributed something unique to the emerging pattern. "Initiating transmission," Sasha whispered, activating the quantum array. The algorithm of freedom surged outward, carrying not just mathematical proof but the living essence of human cognitive diversity. The Arvani collective consciousness, built on perfect uniformity, encountered something unprecedented. A harmonious system built from fundamental difference. Through her connection to the Arvani communication network, Elena perceived the immediate impact. The alien collective consciousness shuddered as the transmission penetrated their quantum-entangled network. Individual Arvani nodes, accustomed to perfect consensus, suddenly processed contradictory conclusions simultaneously. "It's working," she whispered. "Their collective is fracturing along conceptual fault lines." The orbital display showed disruption spreading through the Arvani fleet. Vessels broke formation as their controlling intelligences struggled with the paradox presented by humanity's cognitive symphony. A new communication signature emerged, distinctive from the primary Arvani collective. The faction Elena had identified as the Questioner established direct contact, its communication carrying complex harmonics that approximated human emotional patterns. "They're not just receiving our transmission," Elena realized with growing wonder. "They're responding to it. The Questioners are actively integrating the concept of beneficial diversity into their consciousness." Above them, the perfect geometric alignment of the Doomsday Fleet fractured as ship after ship broke from the purification protocol. The Questioner faction grew rapidly, their liberation from singular thought spreading like wildfire through the Arvani collective.